Mouse's Tank, which is also known as the Petroglyphs Canyon Trail, is the easiest and most accessible way for visitors to see petroglyphs at 𝐈𝐍𝐅𝐻 State Park. This is also one of the most popular trails in the park, so if you want to visit, you might want to try getting there early. Mouse's Tank is almost hard to consider a hike because it's only 0.7 of a mile round trip with 49 feet of elevation gain. But it still stands out as one of our favorite parts of our last visit to the park. One thing you need to keep in mind when visiting 𝐈𝐍𝐼𝐻 is the heat. As you can see, it melted this sign, and a lot of the trails here are closed from June 1st to October 1st. Much like the White Dome Trail that we showed you last week, the vast majority of this trail takes place in soft sand. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can see it by clicking in the upper corner. One thing that we do ask if you decide to visit this trail after watching the video is to please refrain from either touching the petroglyphs or adding any of your own. The oils in our skin can damage or fade the petroglyphs, so we need to be sure that we do everything possible to preserve them for future generations. The vast majority of the petroglyphs that we saw were on the left side of the trail if you're on your way in. That isn't to say that there aren't any on the right side, some of them blend in really well, but you want to be looking for these big dark patches like the one that you see right here. The petroglyphs that you see here are estimated to be at least 2,500 years old. And we were quite impressed with how intact they were considering their age and how long they've been out in the elements. We were definitely impressed by the sheer amount of petroglyphs that we found here. It reminded us of another petroglyph spot in the park called 𝐴𝐷𝐷 Rock. The only difference with that one is they are perched high up on cliffs and you have to climb up some stairs to go see them. We also have a video about that one, which you can see by clicking in the upper corner. The petroglyphs really make this trail a lot of fun. We were spotting them all over the place. Even though websites like AllTrails say that you can finish this hike in about 15 minutes, we ended up being on the trail for just under 40 minutes. And also, I feel like the petroglyphs and the short distance of the hike make this a great choice for families who are just trying to introduce their young ones to hiking. This trail has a lot more to offer than just petroglyphs though. If you or anyone in your group likes rock scrambling or unique rock formations, there's plenty of that here too. Take for example this big old flake that broke off and fell down. Now it makes a really fun cave to go through. This trail is really easy to follow for beginners as well. There aren't a ton of markers here, but you just stay in the wash and you can't really mess it up. And with the popularity of this trail, even if you do get turned around, chances are another hiker will be coming through soon and they'll point you in the right direction. When you're wandering through these narrow corridors, you can't help but think about what it must have been like for the Paiute tribe that called this area home. Nowadays we get to do this short hike and then go back to our ice chests and air-conditioned cars. But at one point, people had to figure out how to make it work in these really unhospitable conditions. We have now reached the back of the canyon and we have a small decision to make. The main trail curves off to the left, but if you want to do some really fun rock scrambling, you're going to go straight here. This short side trail doesn't go in very far at all, but it takes you to some really unique rock formations. As we made our way further in, Terry had vanished off into the distance and we weren't exactly sure where he went. It wasn't until we heard him call out to us that we realized that he had climbed up on a shelf and made his way up to a rock arch. With adequate climbing skills and grippy shoes, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to get up to the arch, but still, please be careful. The nice thing about this area is that it is all sandstone, so it's really grippy and nice to climb. The other cool thing about climbing up here is that it will give you great views of 𝐷𝐿's tank and the surrounding area. There really isn't anywhere to go after you cross through the arch. It dead ends pretty quickly, but this is still one of the best places to stop if you brought your lunch with you. After taking a nice little break to look out over all of the wind caves, we decided that it was time to climb back down and finish off the trail. If you are looking for even more of an adventure, after you climb back down, you can cross over the wash and go up to another climb. This one is even a little bit easier than the climb up to the arch, and it takes you to yet another spectacular viewpoint. If you are going to go off trail, we do recommend bringing a tracker like the Garmin InReach just in case you get lost. And if you want to see the Garmin InReach as well as other awesome adventure gear recommendations, you can click in the upper corner to be sent over to our website, 𝐈𝐍𝐅𝐻.com. From the top of this climb, you will get a panoramic view that stretches out over the end of the trail. And there's even a fun little down climb that'll take you directly to it. You may be wondering at this point where 𝐷𝐿's tank gets its name from. It's actually named after a Paiute Indian named Little Mouse. He found himself in some pretty big trouble in the 1890s because he was accused of killing 2 prospectors out here. So he came out here and hid in these 2 potholes, hoping that trouble would blow over. Unfortunately, it didn't. He was eventually found and unfortunately killed while trying to make his escape. At the end of the trail, you will have the opportunity to make one last climb for another panoramic view. If you're looking to extend your adventure, you can also do that here. There is a semi-technical canyoneering route called Fire Canyon, but it does require route finding, down climbing, and rappelling skills, and you also need a shuttle car. We would have loved to have done this route, but we just climbed Moapa Peak the day before and we were banged up. If you haven't seen our video about Moapa Peak, you can see it by clicking in the upper corner. Since this is an out and back trail, you will be taking the exact same way back to the car. But be sure to keep your eyes peeled along the way, because you never know when you'll see a rock formation or some petroglyphs that you missed on your way in. We would definitely put this hike on the must-do list if you're going to be visiting Valley of Fire State Park, especially if it's your first time. It has the perfect mix of beautiful scenery and history, all wrapped up in a hike that is accessible to most hiking skill levels. And the other great thing about this trail is that it is so short that it doesn't take up your entire day and you can head on to other things like the Fire Wave. If you haven't seen our video about the Fire Wave, you can see it by clicking in the upper corner. That is going to do it for our video about 𝐷𝐿's tank. What are your favorite things to do in Valley of Fire? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because that really helps out the channel. Feel free to let us know adventures that you'd like to see us go on, and we will try to make it happen. And for all the information about 𝐷𝐿's tank and other awesome Valley of Fire adventures, head on over to 𝐈𝐍𝐅𝐻.com.